Beautiful. All right, so let's get started. Today, we're going to talk about online content presentation. And this is a working session, which means this first half hour or so, I'm going to do a presentation and a demonstration. And the last hour-ish will be you all working together on some elements of your online course in order to align with the practices that I'm sharing with you today. This is a small group, so we might just do that all together. If a few more come in, we might split off into a couple of breakout rooms. As I go through my slides, just a few slides really, and demonstrations, please raise your hand, unmute, use the chat. Please ask any questions that come up as I'm talking about something. I'm more than happy to pause mid-slide and explain in more detail, okay? And if you haven't yet done so, do be sure to sign into the chat if you're here for Flex Credit. I see you all did, so thank you so much. Wonderful. Let's proceed. Oops, I have a clicker today. Neat. Is it going to work? No, that's okay. 50-50 chance. Here we go. All right, so this is something I always try and do in my workshops, identify some goals and objectives. First is identifying the need for student-ready online content. What is that? Why should we do it? How can it be helpful? And then I want to highlight some best practices for creating that engaging course content in your online course too. And then we're going to work together. We are going to take these skills and immediately apply them into some of your course contents of your choice. And then I'd like to take a few minutes to reflect before we break for the day. And then, of course, Q&A, but you can ask questions throughout. You don't have to hold your questions till the end. That is all good. All right, so let's begin with a brief reflection on our content. And to do that, I have some questions for you to consider on this next slide. I'd like you to think about your on-campus teaching experience. Maybe recent, maybe pre-COVID, whatever. Think about a lesson or lecture in one of your on-campus classes that you are particularly proud of. Think about that, whatever it may be, and consider what made it so great. What was it about that lecture that you were just, oh, that was a good one today? Yeah. How did you know that it resonated with students? What was their feedback in that moment with you? And then thirdly, how have you tried to bring that same sense of pride to other lessons and lectures in your on-campus classes? I'd like to take a minute to reflect on this, and you can share in the chat, or you can unmute and share briefly, but let's take about 60 seconds to think and consider these ideas. Please go ahead. So let's take these ideas, and as Sarah just said, let's think about the online component to doing it. I have some rhetorical questions for you here, and we're not going to answer these aloud. I just want you to think honestly and openly about when's the last time you felt comparable pride in your lesson or lecture in Canvas as to what you just shared aloud? Do you feel the same sense of pride when you log in to the Viking portal and open up your class? Why might we not feel that sense of pride as often when compared to our on-campus classes? There's a lot of reasons for that, but just think on it. How do you provide lecture content in Canvas? Might a change be in order? Might a change bring you a little bit more of that pride that you feel in the physical classroom? So that is one of our goals today. Bring you that sense of pride when you click on your Canvas course, open it up and see something, and I built that. I did that. Just like the pride you feel in your lessons. So to do that, we're going to explore a little bit of what online content looks like. And I do not believe in one-size-fits-all online courses. depending on what you teach, depending on your style, depending on your comfort and experience with the technology, there are many different ways to go about this. So let's take a look at some general principles that apply no matter what you choose to do. Content presentation. When we train you to teach online, we encourage you to set up learning units or modules that contain content, assignments, discussions, weekly activities. You can fill those modules in lots of different ways. For example, content or Canvas pages, files, like your slideshow presentations. You can do videos, audiovisual content, websites, external resources, publisher packages. But the bottom line, to me, is the most important bit. How we provide this content heavily influences if students use it and what they actually take away from it. The how, or the way in which we do this, is so imperative. Oops. So whenever I talk about these sorts of design principles, I always like to ground it in the foundation of the California Virtual Campus. And if you've ever been to one of my workshops before, I sound like a broken record on this point, but this has been around for a little while, and it teaches us best practices for building student-ready online courses. And I'm going to be focusing on section A of the rubric from the California Virtual Campus, because it's all about content presentation. There are 14 elements of quality course design. Those of us who teach here full-time, you've seen many of them in the online teaching checklist already in our contracts. But the key elements include unit objectives, using Canvas tools, learner support, and institutional support. Today, we're going to focus in on that second item, course management tools for content presentation. In other words, Canvas. Canvas is our CMS. Element A4 is course navigation. That's what I mean when I say student ready. If you've ever been to a website and you don't know where to click to find what you are looking for, then that website might not be user friendly. Same thing when students log into our courses and they don't know where to click to find their homework or to find the week's workload, then that's not a student-ready course yet. A7 discusses the effective use of Canvas tools. So when we provide students our content or our videos or a PDF or what have you, do we do so in a way that creates more work for them? Or can we do it in a way that makes it much easier for them to access? So instead of exerting their efforts on downloading something, they instead exert their effort on actually reading that thing. A8, effective use of multimedia. Using audio, visual, text, images, etc., in order to annotate and explain and give examples that students can relate to among our course content. And then finally, A9, learner instructions. Learner instructions are so essential in an online class, especially. If I were to do this workshop, and let's say I put these slides on a, let's say on a 1-minute timer, and automatically they would advance every 1 minute. And I just stood here in silence and said nothing. I would argue that wouldn't be my best performance. So when we're online and we just give our students a set of slides or just give them a PDF without telling them what to do with that thing or what they should be looking for in that thing, that's what A9 is trying to meet. We need to give more specific instructions on what online students should actually be doing with our content. So let's see how. To do that, I'm going to leave my slides and go to Canvas. Okay. This is a Canvas sandbox. That just means like a sandbox, or a place to play and try new things, and anybody can create one if you want. But I set this one up for my workshop to show you some things that I often see, because in my role as online coordinator, I get to see a lot of Canvas shells. And often I have the ability to provide constructive suggestions to the faculty who build those Canvas shells. So what I'm sharing with you now are some common patterns and suggestions that I often make. Let me show you here. So here I have a sample content module. And you notice there are various items within that module. And you'll see here on the left side, you can actually tell what each item is based on the little icon next to it. So the paperclip, just like in an email, that's a file that has been uploaded to the module. A chain, a link, chain link, that is a hyperlink that takes students someplace else on the World Wide Web. Okay? And then we'll get into the other types in a moment. But often I see when an instructor builds their weekly module and they'd like to add their slideshow to it or their reading assignment to it, they do the following. In the module, they click the plus button. And then they add a file. And then they select, let's see, their PowerPoint right here. And they click add item, right? And then it goes to the bottom, just click it and drag it wherever you want it to be in the module. And there you go. Same thing with the reading assignment for the week. I'd like my students to read this PDF. So I add the file, add the item, and there is their PDF. This is the most common method of content presentation that I see when I look at faculty's online courses and trainings and such. But how does that look from the student side? Let's take a look. Let's take a look. I'm switching to student view. Okay, so now I'm going to assume the role of students taking their very first online class. Okay, here we go. I see this one. It says Cultural Anthropology Lecture. I guess I better click on that. Okay. All right, wow, that's something. Okay, so here's a slideshow. I guess I can scroll down through the slides. Maybe I can click this thing to advance. Okay, but there's 51 slides. What do I do with this? I'm just going to click next. Whoa, what happened? Now I'm on YouTube for some reason. Something about poop. What? That's an advertisement, isn't it? Yeah. Skip the ads. Okay, something about anthropology. That's probably what I'm supposed to watch. But 17 minutes. What if I go back to Canvas? Oh, there's nothing here. Okay, maybe I'm not supposed to watch it after all. I'll click next. Okay, so here's something, body ritual among the Nasarema. Okay, so maybe I'm supposed to read this. Is this going to be on my test? Do I need to answer questions about it? Okay, I'm just going to click next. And so on, and so on, and so on. So right there, based on those few elements from the California Virtual Canvas I shared from you, we saw a few things that can be improved regarding the student experience with just 3 items of content in this practice course. You see, the problem, and I'm going to leave student view to show you this, but the problem with just uploading a PDF to my module is that as the instructor, it allows me no room to annotate or provide instructions for what students are actually supposed to do with that content. Same thing with my slideshow. If I go back, oh yeah, and I'm taking YouTube, which by the way, if you send your students out of Canvas to YouTube, then they will usually have to watch an advertisement before the video you actually want them to watch. And that was very well timed, that it happened to be about something that had nothing to do with anthropology. And then if I continue hitting the back button, or the previous button rather, to my slideshow, again, there's nowhere for me to record my voice or add some instructions like, hey class, this is 51 slides, but only look at slides 1 through 20 today. There's no way to do that. So what I'd like to share with you is an alternative approach that makes this a streamlined learning process with the 3 resources I just showed you. Allow me to demonstrate. I'm going back to my module. And instead of, I'm clicking at the add button near the top right, but instead of adding a file like I did a few minutes ago, no, I'm going to create a page. And click on create page, and I'll just say sample lesson for the title. Okay, and again, it goes to the bottom. You just drag that up wherever you want it to be. Now, I'm not going to take the whole, too much time to type into this page, so I already made one before I started the workshop today. Let me show you. Lesson 1, Introduction to Anthropology. Look here. So here's a page, and in Canvas, I click the edit button, and I just started typing in pretty much what I would normally say anyway to my on-campus students. I say, hey, this is a good question. What is anthropology? I can explain this completely and quickly, okay? Grab something to write with, take a few notes. They're probably going to appear on your quiz. Enjoy. So I've introduced my material, and then look. I have a subheading, make this a tad bit larger. I have a subheading for my lecture slides. And I'm asking them, look at these slides and do these 3 things. Write down the key terms, make note of any questions, and start making connections to what you've learned already. So here's what I do next. I skip a line, and I click my cursor right below my instructions. And then I use the insert tool and insert a document. And I can upload a document off of my computer, or if you already have the PowerPoint in Canvas, I'll just go to my course documents and select it here. Just click on it, and it appears. Look at that. Now, I'm not done yet. There's a couple things I need to do. One, I'm going to click on that link and click on Link Options. First of all, this is kind of a long title. I'm going to change that. So in my text section, I'm just going to say Week 1 Lecture Slides. And I'm going to note that it's a PowerPoint in parentheses. And then, and this is the most important part, I'm going to click on Preview Inline, followed by Expand Preview by Default. Scroll down, click on Done. So look, the link changed, so it's more descriptive of what students are actually about to see. And if I click the Save button, watch what happens. Okay, so I have my intro, I have my instructions, and look, now my slides appear immediately below the instructions for what students are supposed to do with them. And if they really want to, they can still download them. If they want them on their own computer or on their tablet, whatever, that's fine. They can still download them, but they are embedded within the content of the week. Okay? So that's the first technique. I'm clicking Edit again to adjust my multimedia. Again, I talk about, or I write about things that I would talk about normally in the face-to-face classroom. It doesn't take terribly long. And then I add a fun little Bitmoji of myself because that's what I do. And I want to provide them a video clip about careers in anthropology. So I give them instructions. While you watch this video, write the careers down. Pause and think about how anthropology might relate to your career. Look for keys and concepts in chapter 1. So after I've provided instructions, I click below that. I like to do it centered because I think it looks nice. You don't have to. But then I go to my YouTube video. Watch this bit. You can do this with any YouTube video, and it will not play an advertisement that is so annoying. Students can get straight to the content you want them to see. So watch. Click the share button. Click embed. And then this code, we click on copy. Perfect. I'm going to go back to my Canvas page. That's right where I click, so I'm going to keep my cursor right there, but then I use the insert tool again. Insert, embed, and then I paste that code that I just got from YouTube and click submit. Now look at that. I'll zoom out. Yeah, there we go. Now my video is within Canvas, and all they need to do is click on play, and it will play right in the content page that I've created, that I have annotated. So much more user-friendly, as opposed to the page that just kicks them out of Canvas and sends them off to YouTube. Finally, I have the reading assignment. Again, I've started a new section of my page. I'd like them to read this, and as they read, I want you to do the following things. Okay, give them instructions on what to do. And I skip a line right below, and just like I did with my slideshow a couple minutes back, I'm going to repeat that process with my PDF reading. I click on Insert, Documents. You can upload or course documents. I'm using course documents. And then I select the article I'd like them to read. Remember, we're not finished yet. We have to click on it, link options, preview inline, expand preview by default. Done, and save. Now look at this. We've just taken those 3 separate files that were one by one in the module, and we've consolidated them onto one page with our voice in there too. Albeit a written voice, but we are there too. So they begin with their lecture slides. After their slides, they come down and watch this video clip. And then after their video clip, they do their reading for the lesson. And then even after that, they click next to continue the lesson and move on to the next page, or move on to the discussion that comes right after this page, whatever you might have set up in your weekly module. So this is what I mean when I talk about, if I can go back, course navigation, effective use of Canvas tools, effective use of multimedia, and learner instructions. Now, are there any questions about what I just showed you in Canvas? Any questions? Karen, I see your hand. Yeah, please. Thank you.
Yeah, I was trying to take notes on the YouTube video part. So you click share, then you click embed, and then?
Yes, share, embed, copy.
Okay.
And then we just paste that.
And then my second question, I was told a couple of years ago to put every single video file separately into the module. Are you saying it'd be better if I had one that was the video files and then like a description of each one, what they should do with it all into one page?
You know, that depends, Karen, on the duration of those video files. Sometimes it makes sense to have them all in one place. Other times it might make sense to stagger them and say, hey, watch a video, do an assignment. Watch this next video, do the next assignment. So maybe during the working part, we can take a look at your course and see what makes sense.
Thank you.
Sure thing. Nin, good to see you, Nin.
Yeah, thank you. I teach photography, and some time ago, my department head said something about if I use a YouTube, I have to be careful because of the copyright. So sometime I wasn't sure. I just buy the CD and play it, or the DVD. So do you know anything about this?
Yes, so generally speaking, since we are educators using these YouTube videos for educational purposes, we're not going to get in trouble for copyright issues. Now, the problem comes when you decide to start your own business and to sell your lessons with these other people's YouTube videos in it, and you're making a profit. But when we're using them in our classroom for education, we are okay.
Thank you.
Sure thing.
I have another question about YouTube videos. We were also warned that the closed captioning on YouTube videos is horrendous. And so, you know, I tried to make very careful selections of content that has been captioned. So even though it's on YouTube, it was created, you know, by something that would provide reasonable captioning. Is there anything else we should be aware of in regard to that?
Let me provide two helpful things for you. Watch. So I'm going to go, actually, no, this one's fine. Yeah, so I'm in YouTube here. Let's say I want to find a video, Introduction to Anthropology. So I search for it, and YouTube brings up thousands of results. However, click on filters. Click on subtitles /CC. And now these results will have those accurate closed captions with them because you have applied that filter. That's the first trick. Now, the second trick is if you find a video that you really, you're just like, oh, this is perfect for this particular lesson. I really want to use it, but the closed captions are not accurate. Okay, no problem. We can help you. In Canvas, watch, I'm zooming in here to the far left-hand side, the global navigation. Okay, this darker section on the far left. Click on Help. I'm sorry, I clicked the wrong thing. Click on Resources. I always mix those up too. But scroll down and look. Accessibility Resources, Video Captioning. Here we have access to captioning request services for videos that we need captioned. Now, I will tell you, sometimes this can take a while. Okay, so we send them off outside of Long Beach City College to get this done. So it can take a while, but if you've got that video that you just, oh, I gotta use this one, then I would suggest using this or using these services.
Thank you.
Oh, I could talk all day about online accessibility. Yes, so thank you for asking that question. These are all great questions, but I would be remiss if we didn't take the time to actually put these ideas into practice, because that is the point of this workshop. Let's get to work. So here's what I have in mind for really the rest of our time together today. Here's our workload. I'd like you to log into an online course that you currently teach. And I can revise that to say, maybe you're not teaching online right now, but you hope to, or you have in the past, go to one of your online courses or a sandbox shell. I'd like you to select a module or lesson or some units within your course that you would feel might most benefit from an update to how you present your content. Now, I know we're late in the semester. I thought it would be pretty neat if it was an upcoming unit in your class so that your students now could see these changes and you might be able to see how they respond to those changes too. But I understand if it's not possible. I'd like to create content pages within your module and transfer your lessons to a more student-ready format as I demonstrated in my practice shell. And I want you to ask questions of me and of each other. There are 4 attendees and 2 of me. Yeah, there's 2 of me. I'm thinking we're just gonna stay together. I don't see much point in doing a breakout room where it's just 2 and 2. So as you are doing this work, ask questions, unmute, you can share your screen, and we can talk about your class, what your individual class might need. And at the end, we're gonna do a little reflection. We're gonna share what you've been up to, and we're gonna talk about how can we make this manageable to update our entire course in this same method. Are there any questions about our workload today? I'm looking back so I can see you. I have the camera there, but all your faces are back here. Okay.
I did have a question. If we're a little nervous about doing it in an existing course, can we just like pull up a course from last semester so that we're working on something that's not live?
Sure. Yeah. The thing is, though, you cannot edit last semester's course.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Months, Sarah, our old courses turn into a read-only format.
Okay.
So we can look at them, but we can't make changes. So what I would recommend is if you have an upcoming course, maybe this summer, you can bring some of your current class content into that one, and then you can start working there, or we can make just an empty sandbox shell for you.
I have a shell I can just dump some stuff into.
Sounds like a plan. Other questions? Okay. That being said, let's roll up our sleeves and get to work. Okay, I'm here, we're all here. I'm not going to talk your ear off while you're trying to work, but any questions at all, just raise your hand, unmute, we can talk about it. And I know, Karen, I had mentioned that maybe we should take a look at yours. So anytime you are ready to screen share and we can have a conversation, I'm ready.